on. Let me leave. I'm leaving this place. Hold on. Alright.
What's up, Joe Carava?
Nada.
What are you calling me about?
Oh, why? Because we didn't catch tunes the other day.
We didn't what?
You know, like
Are you okay?
what do you mean, am I okay?
I don't know, you just seem distracted.
Yes, I am okay.
Your video's going not very well.
I'm getting in my car, and...
Now you got an exclamation point over your shit. Apple's some bullshit, motherfucker, let me tell you. Me recording on the iPad, you sending the iPhone out. Are you even there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Look at you popping back in. Things spinning this way, spinning that way. Joe Carava's setting himself up inside some random-ass car. Where are you at?
So, I'm in,
Uh-oh!
and,
He's gone? He's back? He's back? What's up? You're in a shitty connection area, let me tell you that.
Not really. I can hear you fine.
Are you on, your Verizon or some bullshit?
No, I'm on a 5... Yeah, I mean, I'm on a 5G for AT&T, but it's fine. I can hear you good.
It's fine, I can hear you. Okay.
So to be short, I was calling you back because I know, like, you know, like we had texted back and forth and, you know, like a couple times and I wanted to just, you know, like, you were right, you know, in a lot of ways.
Oh, wait, repeat that again? Repeat that? What happened?
Well, you were right in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm not denying it, Mike. I said you were in the text.
Wow. Did everyone hear that? Did everyone hear that?
But I wanted to propose one thing to you.
Another bet?
No, not another bet. Just an idea.
What's the idea?
So the idea that I wanted to propose to you was this. And I'll start by saying that, you know, like, obviously, you know, we were talking about crypto. So crypto being, you know, like in your, you know, like in a general sense, crypto being, you know, like bullish on a lot of crypto. I don't know how diversified in terms of crypto that you're bullish on or how, like, you know, like in different aspects, but like, because crypto, there's a lot of different crypto out there, right? And like that can be,
there's
you know,
too many cryptos out there, sadly.
and that could be argued on, and I agree with you. It's there, so we agree there. But let's just take Bitcoin, for instance, which is the largest and most widely accepted cryptocurrency that is out there. I don't think anybody in the marketplace disagrees with that tone, whether they like it or they don't. I think they all accept that. My question to you was this, and this, you know, stems around an example. So Bitcoin recently just eclipsed its previous high of 65,000, and, you know, now it's trading around 60,000.
It got hyped up because of the ETF.
Yeah, so there was obviously that sentiment during this week that occurred, okay, on BITO that came out that uses futures. So it's not like it doesn't actually hold Bitcoin, it holds futures contracts. So there's a difference there.
It's some finance bro bullshit trying to fucking latch on to cryptocurrency finance people just getting their fangs deeper and deeper into crypto.
There's a lot
clawing
of
as much
ETFs
fucking.
Well, let me speak. There's a lot of ETFs out there that hold futures, and those ETFs, you know, they have to roll. What happens is that they have to roll their futures, meaning that they have to usually they'll have to buy a front month, they'll have to buy the next month, and then they'll have to sell their front month and roll it as a contract spread to continue the exposure towards that underlying commodity. So there's a lot of that. Those have existed for years. Okay, they're nothing new to the financial world. What my question was to you was more regarding this, and I'm going to propose the question to you right now. So let's just say that Bitcoin is priced at $60,000.
Yeah.
Tesla out there
Jesus
does
Christ.
allow for
Jesus
you to,
Christ.
at least they used to allow, for people to buy a vehicle with a cryptocurrency.
You know what they said though when they did that? You would pay them in $60,000 for your Tesla, but if you wanted your refund back, they were only going to give you the amount of crypto that you paid for it in Bitcoin. So if you turned out that Bitcoin dropped by 50%, you would get $30,000 back on your return.
So that's my point. Okay, so this gets to the point of my thing is that if I buy, say a Tesla $60,000, an average Tesla might be around $60,000. So if I buy one Tesla with one Bitcoin, right, and I go and I decide a week later or 2 weeks later that I don't really like this Tesla, for whatever reason occurs, and I want to return it to them,
yes.
They're going to give me the cash back for that purchase. No. They're going to give you the Bitcoin back in the same amount that you transacted to them in. But that's a losing battle for them. So basically, you can if crypto is going up, you can guarantee yourself that if that's the case, you could essentially say, okay, let me go buy a Tesla today.
Yep.
I'll go.
And then if it goes up to $100,000, you can turn your Tesla back in, get your crypto back.
And you'll get maybe 20% more of your crypto back.
You'll get the same amount of crypto that you paid them back.
So it's a risk-free trade. So the only way that works is that if it works in the opposite tune, meaning that
if crypto went down, you would be basically getting back half of the value of what you put into it.
Correct. And that's a lot of risk for a company to take on.
That's why they got out of it very quickly. And dude, here's what happened. Elon Musk fucking smoked some joints, found out about crypto, went down a rabbit hole, decided to do a bunch of weird shit again with his company. And fucking everyone was like, hey, put the brakes on a little bit, buddy.
You're right. And you're right. But my question then is that, let's say that you do actually buy it with crypto like that let's say a company does come out and do that. Yeah. But let's say they put like the normal halt on it and they say, we're going to return to you the cash value of the product, right?
Yeah, so I don't know who's going to do that, but okay.
Well, no, but whatever. There's a lot of places that are going to probably, like, let's say like Target or Amazon, wherever, right? These are large institutions that do lots of transactions every single day. And let's say they say, okay, we'll start accepting crypto, but we're going to only return the cash value of the purchase because there's a lot of returns that happen every day. Returns happen all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to even do that. I would expect them to more like in a retail environment to do something like you
Alright,
can
so
that you can exchange it for in-store credit, but not actually get a full refund on it.
Well, then that takes away a lot of what consumers are used to today. Consumers are used to today
now going onto their computer, looking up Amazon, typing A, and hitting enter because it pops up in their fucking browser history so quickly that they're fucking... And they don't even look on eBay anymore. They don't look on AliExpress. They don't look on fucking any of the other websites, Etsy or fucking even Wish or like fucking Offer Up or...
So consumers today can buy wherever, whenever, at any point. Then what they can do is they can return at that point of sale, and then they can get basically the cash value for what they purchased back in terms of cash, right? So they're okay with that, or they could get store credit, of course.
But that's also, Joe, that's for certain specific types of things. I don't know what's happening with the mic's going crazy. Hold on.
But what the point that I'm trying to make is this: is that if I went and bought if I went and used one Bitcoin to buy one Tesla, and I know Tesla's backed away from this, but let me just use it as a model. If I went and bought one Bitcoin for one Tesla, and Tesla chose to say, like, we're only going to return to you the cash value that you purchased with that, did I really buy the Tesla with a Bitcoin? And the answer is no. The answer is no. I used Bitcoin as an intermediate source that was an overlay on the cash value to purchase a Tesla. I never really purchased it with Bitcoin because whatever I get back is what I really purchased it with. And I really purchased it with cash.
Actually, here was what the return policy was. Buyers get back Bitcoin if it's worth less than the equivalent dollar value at purchase, but get back dollars if Bitcoin is worth more. So they basically, if you paid, so the consumer always lost out. If you pay X amount of dollars for it, then
so that's a lose. So why would somebody do that? That's a lose-lose.
Why would somebody do that? Because they have cryptocurrency instead of having fiat money.
But you never purchased, so my argument is that you never really purchased with Bitcoin. You purchased with cash.
No, what if think about this, what about a crypto whale that made their money all in crypto, right? And instead of going and taking their crypto and trading it on an exchange and getting fiat money, what they did was take the crypto that they've earned or that they've mined or that somehow they've acquired, and they dumped that into a Tesla. In fact, this is one of the arguments why people will say that crypto is money laundering, because you can do conversions very easy like that, and then you have a Tesla, and then you take the Tesla and you sell that back to someone, and now you got cash value, right, out of crypto. And you basically did, essentially, if that was illegal crypto, a money laundering transaction. What the fuck? Did you just go? Holy shit. I love how that happens. Let's get this kid back. Three, two, one, and now we're recording again. Yo, Joe Carava.
Yeah, sorry. When I pulled in my garage, it connected to my Wi-Fi, and then we lost. So you are correct. You are absolutely correct that when you own Bitcoin from low cost basis levels, you could then theoretically use your Bitcoin to purchase a Tesla and then basically have no risk in terms of the cash value, right? Because I own Bitcoin from $500. Therefore, I can use my one that I purchased for $500 now to buy a Tesla. However, it has to go into the mainstream. And the only way that it continues into the mainstream is if that value gets returned to you accordingly. Okay? So you have to understand that as a currency, everybody wants their value to be returned to them if they decide to refund whatever they bought, meaning that they took, okay, I didn't like what I got, I want to return it back to the company within a week, whatever the company's time scale is. Obviously you can't just return something in 2 or 3 years and say I want it back. But, whatever that company's policy is, that you want to return that goods and services back within that time frame and say, hey, I did not really, like what I received. I want to get back what I got. Then they have to send back to you what you sent to them. And obviously, as Bitcoin
Joe Carava, when did those policies start taking effect?
Well, those policies have always been there through human history.
You think
if you go back, well, I mean, to a degree, if you go back to
Sears and go back to Craftsman, maybe. But in most senses, no. You sell a product, someone takes the product and goes away, they open the package, they're not returning it. A lot of places don't accept returns, right? Don't you remember growing up and not being able to return shit?
There was time.
That was the norm at the time. Okay?
Yes.
It was a non-norm to be able to just buy shit and then use it and then return it. That was a non-norm. Okay, now culture has kind of shifted, and because of who is it shifted because of, Joel?
So if you want to go down that rabbit hole, then fine. Within the last 100 years, return policies,
not the last 100 years. Within the last maybe since the .com boom, and really since the companies Amazon had their return policy that forced other businesses. Joe, that is the fucking truth.
Mike, that's not the truth. Return policies have been around for 50 to 60 years.
Return policies, yes. Okay, you're right. But
easy. They've been around for 50 to 60 years. Minimally. So
I mean, every product has a different type of return policy, depending on what industry it's going to.
Fine, then companies can choose not to have.
The thought that consumers have the ability to just buy things, use them, and then not like them and return them, that is definitely a new idea. Flip your fucking camera. And the thing is that just like culture shifted towards that, when culture shifts toward using crypto, culture will shift towards understanding.
So what you're arguing on is that culture is going to shift away from what it was, a progressive idea that actually helped consumers, and is going to shift away from that. That's what you're arguing.
No, I'm not arguing that.
Yes.
You will still have the possibility of getting a return for whatever return policy that the vendor or the shop or whoever's selling you the product.
There is a huge problem with cryptocurrency in terms of using it as a currency for return and getting your value back. There is a huge problem.
No, there is not. There is a huge
100%.
There is a huge problem in very volatile cryptocurrencies. Right? That depends on whether they're stable or not. If you have a completely stable coin...
Which cryptocurrency is not volatile? Let me ask you that.
All of the stable coins aren't.
Yeah, but that's bullshit because they're all supposedly backed by dollars, so they're not even true cryptocurrencies.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. They don't live on a blockchain, network, and they're not decentralized? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, what are you saying?
Do you know Mike?
Don't you think that you just lost again?
Hold on one second.
Oh, you motherfucker. Now you gonna call me back? I'm gonna have to fucking stop this shit. I can restart it. Hey, how y'all doing out there? Feeling good? Joe Carava trying to school me on cryptocurrency. Love it, bro. Love this. Hold on, let's get the recording going again. Joe Carava.
All right. So this is. I have to come down here to the basement, so I don't have to.
Okay, recording.
All right.
Good. Yeah.
So here's the thing, Mike.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: is Bitcoin also pinned to the dollar and other fiat currencies as well on different exchanges?
Do you want me to talk about tethered currencies, and do you want me to talk about tethered crypto, about what that means to the marketplace?
Are you going to teach me about them?
Yes, I can.
Oh, cool. Okay. Why don't you teach me, Joe?
All right. So,
what's happening?
So, tethered currencies, okay, or tethered crypto.
Yeah.
Those, first of all, there's no, like, do you even realize that there's not like how do you know that somebody's telling you that they have 1 for 1, meaning that they have a $1 backing 1x. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
One token.
Whatever the crypto, whatever that pegged cryptocurrency is, that's a stable coin.
Yeah.
They're saying that they have 1 for 1. That they have something behind it equaling that same value, right? Who you're trusting that and that person to be telling the truth. Okay? I could make a stable coin tomorrow and say this is a stable coin and therefore I have, I'm taking dollar deposits for every single dollar that comes in for purchase for it. And therefore, it's a dollar stable coin. And those dollars
and you think that if you do that in the United States, that you're going to last very quickly if you don't actually...
Well, let me finish, Mike. You're not letting me finish. You're telling me that those people that are doing that the people that are currently running a stable coin, that they are obscene. They're not lying. They're saying that they have every single dollar for dollar, every dollar accounted for, and it's sitting in a vault somewhere or sitting in an account somewhere, and it can be exchanged immediately for that currency, for that, because that's the principle of it, right?
Well, I guess here's my question for you. Are you saying that every company that you invest in or that you could potentially invest in on the stock exchange or in life is authentically saying that every document they produce to the public and everything that they say and all of their fucking marketing and all of that is legitimate as well?
No.
Okay.
No.
So then what are you saying? You're saying that there's some sort of risk being taken?
You're misconstruing two principles. A company that you invest in on the stock market, okay, you're investing principal into the company, and the company could be fictional and could be lying. That's your choice, okay? This is a stable coin. This is a principle. The principle is more akin to, like, let's say that I were to go to a bank and I were to stick dollars into the bank, and then the bank were to say, okay, I'm going to, give you a money
I'm going to issue a digital dollar that you then say I have in my account?
Let me talk for
in my checking account?
Mike, let me talk for a second before you interrupt, because you don't know much about this, and I'm sorry to say, but I do. Okay? Here's the thing.
Okay.
If you were to go into a bank and you deposit dollars into the bank, okay, and then the bank puts it into a money market, there are regulating bodies out there, meaning that there are vast amount of resources that are monitoring that money market where those funds are invested into. Meaning that those funds are sitting there and they can be exchanged back for those dollars. Okay? And if those funds can't be exchanged for those dollars, then the bank has a liability problem. And it usually will lead to problems with the bank. Now, I'm not saying that the system's perfect. Okay? The system probably isn't perfect. But I can assure you that it is many, 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 many more times better than what is known as a tethered stable coin, because there is no regulation on that. There is no oversight on that.
Do you think that regulation is not coming?
Regulation is coming to that, but let me just tell you, once regulation comes to that, there's going to be a lot of pitfalls
They're going to pick the weeds. And the people that were conning people are going to go away, and the stable people who actually are doing what they said will thrive and pick up.
So you're saying that then there's not going to be
Do you not think that China is right now creating their own digital cryptocurrency that's basically going to take over for what they have in their...
Every country is creating their own digital currency.
So then what is the argument that you're saying right now?
My argument is that...
So you're not going to use those futuristic country cryptocurrencies because there's a problem with refunds in shopping?
I have no problem with the technology. I've always told you that I have no problem with the blockchain technology. The blockchain technology is actually very, very, I think is actually very, very prudent and will be utilized in the future to diminish a lot of costs that we as consumers obviously, experience, especially with things such as, like selling homes or selling cars, where you have to have transfers of titles, all those things. I think that this is going to be a very, very fruitful thing for those people. But what I think is that ultimately, cryptocurrency, the value that is being implemented right now, is being implemented only by the bubble behavior of all the people that are saying, we have to buy this to somehow exceed some sort of inflationary environment. And I understand where they're coming from, but ultimately it's not the truth. The truth is that cryptocurrency is not going to replace the fiat currency system. It's going to meld with it. It's going to be a melding process. They're going to be one in one.
Who told you that the whole point of cryptocurrency was to just eliminate the dollar or fiat?
It's not.
Altogether?
I'm with you. But you're buying something that technically doesn't have... You're paying a premium.
I don't pay anything for the cryptocurrency.
Okay, so one Bitcoin is worth $60,000. So it is a $60,000 premium over $1, right? $1 is a currency, is a fiat currency.
Yeah.
And cryptocurrency.
And what's it pegged to on the British pound or the euro?
Well, I don't know. The British pound
or the Japanese or the. You know what I mean? Because
whatever.
The thing is, and what's it pegged to on Ethereum, and what's it pegged to on ADA? What's it pegged to on Binance Coin?
They're
USDC.
all pegged. If you want to peg them,
you can peg it to fucking the US dollar, and then you can peg it to USDC, and you're doing the same thing.
Fine, we could peg it to fucking uranium on Mars if you you want to peg it to uranium on Mars, what's it worth versus 1 uranium on Mars?
I mean, isn't it all just worth what we think psychologically?
Correct. You're right. But what I'm telling you is that that's the point. Somebody's paying. So think about it. Somebody's paying $60,000 for 1 Bitcoin that theoretically...
Or a lot of people are paying fractions of dollars and getting fractions of Bitcoins. They're getting Satoshis.
Alright, so here's the thing. So if the fiat system collapses, okay? If the fiat system
then
collapses...
we have bigger problems going on in the world.
Alright.
You know what I mean? If that happens, I have all-out war. You better be holding fucking... You better go scoop as much water as you possibly can and
what
fucking
do you think you should
arm
own?
yourself and protect the shit out of that because...
Would you rather own, if the fiat system collapses, would you rather own Bitcoin or would you rather own physical gold? Let me ask you that.
I'd rather own guns and ammo. Are you fucking dumb? I'll take your gold with my guns and my ammo. What are you going to do? Will you go with your gold? You're going to create a gun out of gold?
But you can buy a gun out of gold.
You better get it quick, because I already have them, so what are you going to do?
Gold's been around in human existence for 10
Dude,
to 20,000
I don't think you
years.
understand. If a crazy shit like that happens, if you have something of value, I'm going to take it from you.
Mike, gold's been around in the society for 20,000 years, okay? 20,000 years gold's been around.
Yeah.
Okay?
So has labor.
Alright? Let me ask you this. If gold's been around for that long, and there's been, gold's used in a lot of things that are outside of just for transfer of value.
What's more important? Gold or human ingenuity and intelligence and skill?
Well, human ingenuity, intelligence, skill is obviously...
So if we're in like a situation where the shit hits the crazy fan, do you want to have a guy who has a bunch of gold? Or do you want to have a guy who's a bad motherfucker who can fix shit, fucking put some stuff together, knows a little bit about this, jack of all trades, can fucking take a gun, shoot someone, grab someone, go to hand-to-hand combat and beat the fuck out of someone? Who would you rather have? Goldman or...
If gold's of value, I'd rather have the guy with gold.
Don't you think that the people who are the most violent and who have the most power are going to take anything of value?
Only in the society.
Why does America have as much as we have?
Mike, if gold has a value to it, and I'm sitting there holding a lot of gold, I might be able to entice somebody to protect a group of people and create something that would protect them against what you would call the Vanderbots that would be coming in to try to rip that society value away. So I'm the one that owns the gold. I'm there to do it. Therefore, those people might be willing to pay me for that protection. Gold has a certain amount of value to it.
You mean you might be paying them for your protection? Gold
has value. There's a reason.
Of course it does. And so does all sorts of other things.
And let me ask you this. If you want to go down that rabbit hole.
How much gold do you think you're going to have? You're going to have trunk cases of gold in the fucking apocalypse? You're going to be walking around with so much gold that that everyone's going to bow down to you?
Let me ask you this. Do you believe in aliens, Mike? Do you believe in aliens?
What type of aliens?
No, do you believe that extraterrestrial aliens exist in the universe? Do you?
I don't
yes
know.
Or no?
I don't know for sure.
It's a yes or no answer.
I would like to think so. I don't have an answer. I've never seen an alien. I've never experienced it. I don't rule it out, and I think it probably would hopefully be likely. But the likelihood of an alien actually making it to Earth is probably unlikely. Just like it's just as unlikely that human beings are going to go off through the galaxies and thrive and survive.
Okay,
We're going to hit extinction before that shit happens. I'm sorry. But let's face the truth.
Okay, so you don't believe...
The fucking entire universe is expanding like this, and we're going to somehow catch up with it. Right?
So
we can't explore the goddamn oceans on Earth, but we're going to fly off to all sorts of other galaxies, right?
So you don't believe in aliens, then, obviously.
I'm not saying I don't believe in them. I'm saying there could be aliens. I don't have any proof to say that I can definitively say there are aliens.
Okay, fair enough. So,
but I don't rule it out.
So let me ask you this. So, throughout history, human history, the only kind of like a lot of alien, somewhat like what you and me would call speculation, or somewhat, it's not proof, right? But it's speculation, have revolved around societies that have been in large gold deposits. Okay, meaning that a lot of the Mayans, a lot of the, large gold deposits in South America that existed, and that's where...
Or areas where there were different types of human beings, so if aliens were interested in human beings, it might not be the gold, it might be the human beings and their culture, and it might just be a coincidence that human beings of all different cultures were all attracted to gold themselves. Because if you believe in that, what the fuck was Area 51 then? Because there's not a lot of gold out in the New Mexico desert, is there?
No, there was at one point.
You think that's why the aliens crashed in Roswell? Because of
gold. Oh, you're putting words in my mouth.
You're trying to chase down gold and aliens. There is the truth that gold is valuable. Gold has more than just value as a monetary source. Gold is a great conductor.
Mike, if you really want me to express the words of gold's value, here's my 2 cents, and this is where I'm going to leave it. Okay, gold is a element, right? Okay, it's an element that creates in certain instances within the universe. Okay, those instances at which gold gets created are usually within the most extreme environments in the universe. AKA, they are known as, mostly as supernovas to the layman. There's a lot of different types of supernovas, but for the most part, they're in the most high energy environments in the universe. Okay, those high energy environments that create gold, okay, they create fractions of it. They don't create a lot of it.
Do you think it has something to do with magnetism?
Well, it could. Well, but I'm not going to get involved. I am not a
geologist.
I'm not a physicist. Okay,
you're not an alchemist either, are you?
I am not a physicist, but I do understand the processes that are involved in creating elements such as gold. Okay, I understand somewhat of the basics of the processes that are involved.
Hey, Joe Carava, I have a question.
Yes.
What is AU?
What? AU is gold. That's the elemental symbol for gold.
I love you so much, dude.
Why?
Because you're my friend. I just love you.
So my point is that, here's my point, is that what if all these elemental, the gold happens so infrequently in our universe? It happens very infrequently, Mike. It's not like this just happens every single day that gold is produced. What happens if an element that is produced in our universe, that is rare, that is somewhat rarely produced, it happens only in fractions of a second or in the most energetic environments? What happens if that element, how does that element turn out to be one of human society's valuable, like, currencies. Is that ironic? Or is it just coincidence? Or is it kind of, hey,
does its value come from its shininess and our attractiveness to shiny things? Or does its value come from its ability to conduct electricity?
Or is the value from the fact that it only exists
that
and only is produced in certain instances? That's what you have to understand.
Oh my God, you know what else is kind of like that, Joe?
What?
That's a little bit scarce and can only be produced in certain instances.
What, Bitcoin?
What else? The whole, not just Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, but Bitcoin's a human, it's made up by us.
Well, yeah, so is fiat money.
Yeah, but gold's not.
Well, yeah, gold, theoretically, gold is physically not, but the theory of value placed upon it is a human construct. It's a psychological construct.
Yeah, but who made gold? Who made the element gold?
The person who set this crazy fucking weird ass experiment or simulation in action probably programmed gold.
Okay, so
you can call him God. Some people might call him Allah, Yahweh.
So the creator of the universe made gold.
I think so.
Okay.
I think if they created everything, then gold would be included in everything.
And if you really want to know about the deeps of where the universe was created, that's for episode 2. Okay? So, I have all that.
You're going to talk to me about inflation theory?
No. I already know where the universe got created from. It's not one universe. It's multiple universes that have been created time and time and time again.
Oh, really?
Correct.
One universe that has been created time and time and time again?
Well...
Do the same things happen in those universes?
They're not the same universe. They're different. But they...
Do they happen where the universe inflates to a certain level and then contracts back down to a certain level and then inflates again and then contracts again?
Nope.
That's not how it works?
Nope.
How does it work?
So, how it works is this, is that the universe is basically like almost like a living and breathing, like, animal or...
Is the universe expanding?
The universe is expanding.
Is that expansion going to stop?
So...
Will it cease?
So it ceases, but it doesn't really cease. It just goes on in time, and then it ceases at a certain point.
Isn't time and space the same thing?
Yeah, but, like, the universe could go on forever, but then, like, what is forever? Like, let's just say that the universe that we live in...
I don't know. What's death, Joe?
It could be, you know, like, forever could be, you know, like, forever is like infinity. It does, like, there's no determination of it. It doesn't, you can't contemplate it.
So do you think there was a beginning point for the universe and there will be an end point?
If you want me to explain how the universe works, I'll gladly explain it to you in terms of how, like, my theory is
to the universe theory.
My theory of the universe is this, is that each one of each own universe is kind of like a living organism, right? So let's say I have a cat, and that cattle is the universe. Okay, so then that cattle, like, you know, grows old, dies, and, you know, and withers away, but it has a baby cattle. That baby cattle then has the same kind of attributes that the large cattle has, right? And then the baby cattle then has its own babies, and then those have the same attributes that the father has, right? So it has this evolutionary aspect.
With similar genetics.
Okay, correct. So we agree on the evolutionary aspect.
I'm not agreeing on shit. I'm just repeating to make it clear.
So the reason, to describe where that evolutionary aspect comes from, black holes are the birth points of those evolutionary aspects. So what happens in the black hole is that universes by design, or not necessarily, I mean, they could be by design, but it's more or less by evolutionary default. They are prorated, meaning that they are designed, like they're kind of conditioned to produce black holes. And those black holes, each one of those black holes are new universes. And what we don't understand yet, as like in physics, is we don't understand how the black hole, because all we understand as a black hole is that matter goes in and we don't get the matter out,
and
right?
It reaches the event horizon and boom.
We just lose it, right? The matter goes in and we lose it.
Do we lose it, or does it fall over an edge somewhere and collect with all the other matter, or is it that the mass is so great and gravitational force so large once it reaches that point that we can't see it anymore because nothing can escape it? There's a congenial math theory that exists out there. Okay, it's called congenial. It's actually, you can look it up. Okay, it's congenial geometrics. Okay,
and congenial geometrics is something that will, like, basically what it states is that the big is the large. So it says, like, I could have an apple, and the apple is the size of my room, and then I could have an apple that's sitting on my table, but they're the same thing, right? They're exactly the same. They don't have any difference to each other, but one's way bigger than the other. It's just size that matters, but size doesn't matter. So what black holes are is that there's some sort of bounce that happens within black holes, meaning that there's some sort of transactional bounce that happens inside the depths of the black hole where the functional aspect, the grid that me and you are used to, the grid of space and time changes, and that grid changes and it bounces to a smaller space and time, and then the matter that has been accumulated then somehow, like, bursts out and becomes a new universe. And that
I have a question.
Yes.
Does it change, or what if it might be a limitation of our human senses to be able to get to that, to see what's happening beyond that?
It is.
Maybe it's just a limitation of us.
No.
Just like you can't see through a brick wall, but maybe some other animal could use echolocation or something.
You're correct. We don't know this, and right now that theory, there is a theory out there, but it's locked up, and it's locked up with the theory between. There's two theories. There's Einstein's theory of basically, first of all, there's two. There's quantum mechanics, right, which is the theory of the very small. And then there's Einstein's theory of general relativity. So Einstein's theory of general relativity and quantum mechanics don't match up. And that the difference between those two theories is what is separating what I am explaining to you. Like, I can't describe it through math.
He fucking solved it.
I can't solve it. I can't, right? Nobody right now can. It's too hard. There's nobody understands it, and I don't understand.
Well, here's a question, Joe Carava. Is there maybe a limitation to the amount of knowledge that humanity as a whole or an individual human being of the human species could reach, and there might be more things that the universe can hold that human beings will never be able to comprehend?
Probably.
Even though we may, as human species, like, be on an upward curve of knowledge and intelligence, there's probably, you know, a real fucking high ceiling, and we're still, like, way down here at the minuscule level of what the universe actually has to offer, and we'll never reach anything up here, much less something down here we'll never get to.
I would hope that we would try to reach it, but I do.
Well, yes, of course we'll try, but we don't even know because we think we're smart and we know this much, instead of realizing that the vast knowledge of the universe is so vast that there's not even if we built like the smartest robots and the smartest machines possible to like aggregate at trillions and quadrillions of.
So my answer to that would be is that have a general, very, very, like, have a low entry, like, be, like, very conservative with your thoughts, right? The more conservative that you are, the more you have a willingness to learn. And that, to me, is the most important part, because the more conservative, meaning like the more like willing that you're out there to learn, you're going to continue, and you're going to pass that knowledge along to your to the next kin, right? To your friends. That is what's important, and that's going to continue the like what you would call. Because we're not the end of, obviously, human. Me and you are going to die at some point. But there'll be other people beyond us.
There will definitely be other people beyond us. But let's be truthful. Humanity is a fucking fragile species. We're made of, like, flesh and blood and bone and fucking... You know what I mean? Little bits of electricity magically making neurological activity connect our thoughts through chemical actions. It's like... That's a reality is if we want to leave a lasting legacy, the truth about what human species is going to be, the only possible thing to do is to create something more enduring, like a machine that can maybe carry on our legacy and our memories and our history. But like, if you think that human beings are going to be able to just like outlive this universe everlasting, that's not logical.
You're right. You're right in a certain... Yeah, you're right.
The only hope for human species and humanity is the fucking...
Well, the merge with...
Intelligent robots. What some people would call AI or whatever the hell. Yeah, that is the only hope for humanity.
Merging with robots, right? Like,
no, because, I mean, okay, if you want to insist that you have some sort of, what we would call like biological part going on to make yourself feel better about it being human somehow, yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe at some point we can create a fucking robot that will cure all of the aging disease that we have or something. Because a lot of people think that aging itself is a disease, right?
Well, I mean,
so maybe at some point we can create something so intelligent that it finds the cure for all of that shit. But that's probably unlikely, and more likely and more what we should probably invest ourselves in to keep our legacy, if that's what we care about, is...
My knowledge is not really there in that aspect. My knowledge is obviously, I told you where it was, if you want my depth of knowledge,
we started with cryptocurrency and how refunds were the reason that cryptocurrency was going to, I think you said something about not live anymore, die. Might as well say Bitcoin is
No,
dead
I think
again.
cryptocurrency will.
Joe Carava, how many deaths has Bitcoin had?
Bitcoin, I mean, if you want to call like some news articles and stuff, deaths where it dropped 20% in a couple days, it's probably had upwards of 4, right? So like
No, it's had people have called for Bitcoin's death thousands of times at this point.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, in
Like,
realistic terms, Mike.
How many people do you know that said Bitcoin was a scam that now are trying to get into cryptocurrency?
Mike,
How many of these big fucking desks have started up recently at companies who initially said, this is a scam, we don't want to be involved in it, blah, 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 and now look at them.
Here's my protocol to you.
Did that happen or not?
Here's my protocol.
You're Mr. Finance, Big Finance,
I told you,
Mr. Big Banker.
I told you there's
Tell
been
me.
about 5 or 6 large-scale declines in Bitcoin over the course of its existence.
No, I'm not asking you that. I'm saying, are there a bunch of finance companies that were against cryptocurrency that are now opening crypto desks and offering cryptocurrency-related products?
Yes.
And they were saying originally that cryptocurrency was a bad thing, wasn't legitimate, right?
Yes, and you know why that they're opening up those desks for it? Because they see profit.
Yes, just like all of you finance bros. That's the whole point. This is my whole point about why cryptocurrency has basically...
What do you mean
the utopian dream that we had, the idealism of what it was going to do for the world, has been instead exploded by finance bros who jumped in and were like, oh, let me fucking exploit it for this, let me exploit it for that. And now you have like a bunch of the big finance businesses looking at it and trying to sink their claws into it now too. They don't give a fuck about helping the poor third world person across the fucking world that we just wanted them to be able to do commerce, right? We just wanted to be able to contribute to a system. All of us could do this, and we could maybe prop up some of those people.
Mike.
But instead, we've got fucking people who just want to, let me trade it like it's a stock, and let me try and make a bunch of money on it, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude,
number one,
you ruined
it. Bitcoin.
You ruined it.
Number one, I don't trade Bitcoin. Number two, I don't trade really anything else. I just
trade
have
stocks.
I don't trade stocks.
You don't have a seat at the Merc anymore?
No, not anymore. No.
You don't have. Does your dad not have 3 seats?
He did.
Does he have them?
He has them, but they're not. They don't do anything. He doesn't go down to. There's no more floor. There's no more. He doesn't trade. So like we don't. I don't have.
He doesn't trade at all.
No, my sole role in my business.
I know what your role is. You don't have to tell me.
My role is to educate people.
I understand, but you still work for big finance.
Okay, but I don't trade, and I don't put my money under like what people's actions are. Right? I don't have that. Right? My money and my thing that I do with my money, right, is on my own. But I don't. My point is this: is that I work in an environment. I try to educate people in terms of how finance works. I educate them. I give them.
Thank you, Joe. You're doing a great service to people of the world. Appreciate you.
I don't ask for anything in exchange.
You ask for a paycheck.
From the company that employs me. That's it.
From the big finance bros.
Okay? But, so it might be a company that
from the people who have exploited something that I loved.
Well, that's your beef with them, and not with me.
I mean, that's not my only beef with them, but yeah, that is part of the problem.
Fine. But Mike, let me go back to you. Okay, let me go back to you on a more...
But don't say I can't call you a big finance bro when you work for a goddamn big finance business.
So, let me just give you this, Mike. You, obviously, and me have a lot of things that we agree on. But what I'm telling you is that...
Wow, imagine that.
I'm just saying is that take this, listen, this is a large boom. There was people out there, and me and you talked about when Bitcoin was $200 a Bitcoin. Maybe even less.
Dude, I got involved in 2012. I still have my Mt. Gox shit. I searched for accounts the other day.
Yeah, Mt. Gox is Magic the Gathering.
Lost accounts filled with Bitcoin that... My fucking... the folder that I have on my email is labeled Bitcoins with an S. Okay? Not Bitcoin. It was labeled Bitcoins.
Okay. So listen. So I don't have a problem with what has occurred with Bitcoin in terms of how this is how nature worked. It gravitated. It became very popular, and it reached a certain pinnacle. It got...
Yep, and in 2017 it reached its 20, and it fucking had its little dump.
Wouldn't it be ironic, Mike, if all the finance bros that you're talking about are all the ones getting in on the top or near the top of the price of it? Wouldn't it be ironic
if they were the ones who got dumped on?
That they're the ones getting skunked? Wouldn't it be ironic?
Wouldn't it be ironic if Alanis Morissette decided to be a brand ambassador for one of these coins?
I'm just telling you.
Don't you think?
I'm just telling you. And you can make your own decision on that. I don't know whether that's the case or not. But you can make your own decision.
Okay, well...
I think I gave a lot of good insight into the idea behind what is my rationale. My rationale is very, very sound money. Okay? So, sound money, if you want to know what a rationale behind sound money is, I'll give it to you right now for your listeners.
No, what I need from you is to answer this instead. Because you think that possibly the big finance bros are going to get left holding the bag on this raw end of the deal of what you think is cryptocurrency. How much value is there in cryptocurrency compared to the rest of the world's economies or something like the stock markets of the world?
Probably, cryptocurrency probably represents a couple percentage points.
You think even that?
Yeah, maybe it's small.
So, there's still a huge potential for money to come flooding into that area, right?
There is. You're right. There's a large bubble perspective that could happen. Correct.
So, it's probably not that these finance bros that are in now are going to be the ones getting left holding the bag. They're probably somewhat intelligent individuals. That's why they got to the positions they are. And they're making what they think are wise investments because of what they see as other future people getting into it in the future.
Things operate in a faster fashion in today's world, so it's possible that you're right that they may be the ones to kind of kick the bag down the road and then therefore get paid off the investment and then kick it down to the next of kin, who then basically is the one holding the bag, loses it, just like any debt situation, right? A debt situation would be akin to me owing you money, right? And then me then going to Jim over here, who says, I'll loan you the money, and then I'll pay you back my loan. Now, your debt is really with Jim, right? And then your beef is with
Oh,
him.
you mean kind of like how mortgage companies will sell you a mortgage and then sell it off to another person?
Well, I mean...
Or how loan companies will give you a loan and then sell it off to another company?
Yeah, it's just debt being reestablished, right? It's debt being circulated. Yeah. Right? So that's all it is.
That's how a lot of companies make their money.
Well, so my point is that yes, it is possible that Bitcoin goes on for any bubble that occurs, Mike, is a bubble that, like, I can't predict the top.
Let me ask you this, Joe. What happens if someone gets a coin and then sells it at the current time and somebody else is paying them for that token?
The aspects of what creates it. But I can't tell you the listen,
is
human
the money
society,
that goes into my checking account real or not real?
Well, it's just dollars that are technically, they used to be backed by gold, but they're not anymore. So, are they real? I don't know. You determine.
Can I spend them? Can I pay my bills with them?
Yes, you can.
Do I take my cryptocurrency that I mine and convert it into fiat dollars and then pay my bills?
Yeah, you're making
because
money
a lot
off
of
it.
places don't let me pay them in cryptocurrency.
You can use it as a product to make money right now. Right now, you can.
Do I do that?
I think you do.
And do I transact with other vendors in cryptocurrency?
I'm sure you do.
And do I use things like Venmo and PayPal and Visa, MasterCard, American Express?
Yeah, you use those other forms of payment services, yes.
And do I use these fucking paper things made of green?
You do also, I'm sure, at
and
occasions.
These little fucking coin token things of silver and copper and nickel and different alloys?
You use a random spectrum of a rainbow, per se, of...
And did I, when I was a boy, what did I use?
Baseball cards only.
No, I mean, yeah, but, or, I'm saying in terms of, like, money.
I got you on that one.
No, but in terms of money, when I was a little boy, all I would carry around was, like, pennies and dimes and quarters, right?
Did I not get you on that one? Baseball cards only.
You did not get me on that one.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Alright, you used...
Right? But I'm just saying, as a little kid, we were using... Maybe once in a while you got a dollar bill. And then when you got older, you got a lot more dollar bills than you did pennies and nickels and dimes,
But you also had other things.
And then suddenly you got to a certain age, and I don't know what your age was, but like me, when I was like maybe 12 or 13, you got a checking account from your parents, and then it was like special to use shit, right?
Correct.
And then at a certain, so then you went from just being able to use coins to being able to use these dollar bills, and then to be able to use a check to write things, and then maybe you went to like, whether you were like 17 or 18, or you were in college, or you were, or when the banking happened, when you had your checking account, banking happened where they suddenly gave you this thing called a debit card that was basically also a Visa card, and now you had this thing that you could use on top of having coins and having paper and having checkings that you could write. You also had this little piece of plastic that you could swipe around places, right? Remember that?
Yep.
You could go to an ATM, you could pop that fucker in, you could hit a couple numbers, and then, and you would get your fucking money out. You'd be like,
yeah, don't you remember going
let's go buy a dime bag, or let's go fucking buy a gram, right?
Don't you remember buying those vinyls with me? And going out with, like, the first time I got a credit card, I went out and got, like, a bunch of vinyls.
Records?
Gang. Yeah. Like, bought a bunch of vinyls.
Okay.
And, you know, it was like...
And then what happened? Then, let's say...
I actually still have those vinyls,
let's say, then in, like, the late 90s or early 2000s, you suddenly got this thing on the internet where, like, people were all weirded out about using credit cards and putting them in because they were getting their cards stolen and shit. So then this thing called X.com and this other thing called PayPal, which for some reason everyone seems to think that X.com was PayPal when it was not PayPal. Okay, and Elon Musk was never in charge of PayPal. He was in charge of X.com, who merged with PayPal. And when PayPal merged with X.com, they were like, no, motherfucker, you're not going to be in charge, bitch. Because they knew better. Okay?
Well,
Long story short, my point is that you ended up getting PayPal, and then you started using PayPal, and you used your piece of plastic, and you used your checking, and you used your paper dollars, and you used your coins. Right? And then at some point, you got another credit card or something, right? Then you had credit that you could use. And then maybe you got a loan or something, and then you had a loan with a credit line that you could use, right? And then you got something on your phone called like Apple Pay or Samsung, whatever the fuck, or Google Pay now that used to be like Android Pay that has gone through like 10 changes because Google doesn't know what the fuck they're ever doing. They're always changing names. They'll fucking figure it out. Long story short, you had a shit on your phone now with, back in the day, it used to be like NFC. You know what that was? Near field communication. Where that's how you could like put phones back to back and send a message, but it had to be close. And that's how you would like take your thing and you tap it on a payment system, be like, boop, and it fucking send the money through that, right? Instead of swiping and using a magnet for a credit card. Are you still with me? Are you nodding out?
Forms of payment.
What?
I get it. Forms of different payments.
Okay, right. So you use that then at one point.
What's the point?
And then you ended up getting Venmo, right? So now you have Venmo. You have fucking Boop Boop Pay, Android, Apple bullshit. You have fucking Visa. You have credit cards. You have your debit card. You have checking. You have your fucking coinage. And you have dollar bills. And you have physical checks, right?
Okay.
And then you have online. Now you got Zelle. Add Zelle to it because everyone has Zelle now too, right?
Yeah, I don't understand the point though. What are you?
The point is that now you have Bitcoin or Ethereum or Binance Coin or Cardano ADA or Tether or the Chinese
or
will
Shiba.
be using the Chinese coin, right?
What about Shiba?
Yeah, that's bullshit. Same with Dogecoin. I mean, whatever.
Right.
You can use them. Go ahead. You can transact in that. My point is that all you're doing is adding that to your repertoire of payment systems.
All right, that's fine.
Is that not something that we can do? Because otherwise, we don't need Venmo, we don't need PayPal, we don't need credit, we don't need this. We just need.
But it all converts back into the central bank's currency, which is
no,
either the U.S.
it
dollar.
does not. It converts into products and goods and services and all sorts of things.
No, not really. It all goes back to the central bank's currency, which is either the U.S. dollar, the Japanese
I don't know, man.
yen.
If I pay you for labor in Bitcoin, did that go back to the
Go look at the central
bank?
If you really want your enemy, okay, and I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to end it here.
Do you know that's the whole reason that everything is supposed to be decentralized? Don't tell me who my enemy is.
I'm with you. I am a anti-central bank. Don't get me wrong. I hate the central banks. I despise them with more suspicion than what you can imagine, okay? Almost as much suspicion that I won't even say it on this fucking phone call because I know it's being recorded. And I don't even want to I would probably get myself convicted as a crime, okay? I hate them. I hate them with the passion, okay? The crimes that they commit, okay, are obscene and are detrimental to society as a whole, okay? But unfortunately, I don't have the power nor the status to inflict any sort of change in that. But I can tell you that cryptocurrency is a symptom of society's suspicion of the central banks, okay? When it all settles down and it all plays out, I think that cryptocurrency will have a role in the world, okay? I don't disagree with you there. I think that's going to have a role there. but I don't think it's going to have the role that you think in terms of it being.
What
like,
role do you think that I think that it's going to have?
I think that you think the price is just going to escalate higher. That's where I think that you.
No,
that's,
I think the price in the short term may escalate higher. What we want the price to do, like I just told you in the very beginning, you want less volatile.
Me and
currencies.
you agree on a lot of things. So let's come to this conclusion that we agree together on a lot of aspects.
So let's push Bitcoin to fucking 6 figures, get Ethereum to 10, and let's let shit level out, plateau, stable off, and then we can fucking help the fucking less fortunate people of the world.
No, what you have to do, Mike, is what has to happen is that, listen, the central banks have to end. They have to end their reign, okay?
Well, good luck taking out the fucking governments and their armies and their navies and their air force and now their space force from America that has nuclear weapons. Good luck. When a tank rolls in, I don't care even me with my guns. What am I going to do
Central
with a
banks
tank?
are not the
you
government,
dumb?
Mike.
What?
Central banks are not the government. They're not the government. They are not.
Who do you think really runs that shit?
Central banks are a private entity. They're a private entity. Look it up. Look up the correct.
Yeah, in theory, but not in like real practice.
Well, then let's society storm.
They're propped up by the government. They're insured by the government.
Storm the central banks. Let them take them out to the guillotine. Let them take Jerome Powell. Let them take
this is never happening.
Whatever.
This is never happening.
Governors.
The central banks will be switching to a blockchain type system sooner than they'll be taking them to the
are the
guillotine.
Cause of the problem.
What is this? Fucking 1660 France?
Mike, what year was the central bank system created in the U.S.? What year?
I don't give a fuck.
Well, you have to know your history.
Is it fucking Mr. Jackson's doing?
No, you have to know, Mike.
Madison?
Mike, have to know the history before you know the future.
Shut
okay?
Do you think that everything is just like a repetition of everything else?
No, it's not.
That's why you got Bitcoin wrong from the get-go.
Mike, it's not. But you have to have.
This is why all you little chart bros, you finance kids,
Mike,
looking at it being like,
if you're not going to discuss intelligent with me, then here, let me just give you this, okay? Before I end, because I do have to go to bed. The central banks were created in the early 20th century, okay? They were started sometime, they actually had to be public, like, there had to be, like, a vote through Congress to get it started, because the original American society did not agree on having a central bank.
Okay? I know, that's why there was a run on fucking currency, and that's why everyone didn't have their fucking money.
So the central bank, the U.S. central bank, was started in like 1910. And basically, what they did is that they, their idea behind it was to smooth out recessions, okay? Their idea was they would be the ones to come in and try to add liquidity to banking runs that had happened previously to that era. So they would come in and they would add liquidity to help with
hey, your bank is fucking failing. Well, we'll come in and fucking give the money back to the people who gave you their money to begin with, who thought that you were actually going to hold their money.
Correct.
We'll fucking bail out the actual citizens of our country.
Correct.
Our government will bail them out, right?
Well, they would. So what would happen was that they would print the money because they were given the responsibility to print the money out of nowhere.
Who gave them that responsibility?
Well, that was the U.S. vote. The Congress gave them
that. The government?
Yeah, the government gave them that responsibility.
So in theory, they're an extension of the government.
Not really. They're their own.
Oh, but the government created them.
But we could.
The government was in charge of them.
But
The
we
government
could pull
voted
it away.
them into their position.
We could pull their power away tomorrow if we wished.
Who
as a
could?
society. We could.
The government could.
No, if we all said...
Could the government vote and pull their power away?
If we all said
Could
tomorrow,
the government do it?
Well, I don't know about, like, what do you mean? But if we said,
But
we
what
are
if,
the government.
well, we are the government,
We are
yes.
the government.
But we only can do shit through our government through legislation, right?
Yeah, so if we all tell our legislative representatives to pull away the central bank tomorrow, then guess what? If every single person in the United States does that, it's going to happen.
So it's theoretically an extension of the government, because the government's in charge of it.
If you want, yeah, I mean, it could be that way. Yes, you're right. You know, like, so, but my point is that you're right. But my point is this, is that the central banks that were created back then, right, they were created to do one thing, and they were given certain rules. Those rules were very specific, okay? Those rules were that they couldn't go and buy assets, meaning they couldn't go and buy, like, they couldn't go and buy homes. They couldn't go buy stock. They couldn't go buy, goods or services. They only were able to use the monetary to expand the monetary supply, meaning that they were only able to expand what was printed in terms of cash.
Yeah.
And then they can use that excess cash that they create out of thin air to provide it to a bank that was struggling, right?
Creating inflation.
And typically, you're correct, that would create inflation. So they had to be very cautious in terms of what they did it with, right? Because you couldn't just go and create a bunch of inflation, because that would be a problem. But over the path of society, what has happened is that people have become accustomed to the idea that the central bank is going to protect them with their risk assets. Okay, so think about it. There's two types of assets that you can hold. There's risk, and then there's non-risk asset. A non-risk asset would be what you would consider as like me holding like cash just sitting in a bank or in my mattress, or, you know, like, doesn't matter.
Although theoretically there's risk in that, because depending on if the government decides to print a bunch of money or not print a bunch of money,
there is risk in that.
You can have inflation or non-inflation,
so
you theoretically don't really know what's happening when you just sit on your money in a savings account.
Correct, and you're right.
And more than likely, you're losing value.
And correct.
Because part of the theory behind cryptocurrency, or at least the theory behind why Bitcoin was created to begin with. What just happened? Oh. Should I finish that sentence, or is he going to call back? Well, the theory behind it is that you are putting your value in the current form of fiat currency into something that will hold its value. So rather than you thinking of your cryptocurrency gaining a bunch of value, you should think of it more so that your cryptocurrency is holding the value of which is being lost constantly through your fiat money. Your dollar bills are losing their value when they're not being used and circulated. Just sitting there in a bank, the value of them is constantly dropping. And you can hedge that by putting it into cryptocurrency, which, although some people think is doing this, what cryptocurrency is doing this, while the dollar bill value is doing that. I don't think Joe's coming back. We're an hour and 25 minutes in. He probably hit it. Perhaps we'll pick up back on this at some point. hope you enjoyed yourself. I knew it would be a good one. There's probably many more to come. Sometimes I like to peek out from the dark web on my shows and pop up here for a little breath of fresh air. We'll see if I come back out. Maybe 5 years again. Maybe 2 weeks. Let's kill it there.